Hi, Ed. Good to see you
Hi,
again.
Tory. Long time no speak.
I know. I'm really conversation. Although I must say I'm a Chargers fan, so I don't know
Uh,
how
I,
much we're gonna get along.
I'm a Bears fan, so I'm all
Oh,
Chicago. But
okay, there you
um,
go.
I rep the teams we sponsor too. So not, but I'm a diehard Bears fan. I hate to say.
Okay. Okay, there you go. So once our teams play, then we can have a separate conversation.
Exactly. I do have Justin Herbert on my fantasy team, so I have very high expectations. So yeah, for him.
Perfect. We're connected that way. Well, hello, everyone. We're excited to be here. Just another, I guess, reintroduction. I'm Tory. I head up our retail partnerships at Nextdoor. So, for those who aren't familiar, Nextdoor is the neighborhood hub for trusted connections and the exchange of helpful information, goods, and services with your neighbors, with your local businesses, with your local agencies. I'm thrilled to be here today with Ed from Planet Fitness. Thank you, Ed, for joining our session. I'm so excited to learn more about what you're doing at Planet Fitness. So, with that said, how about we start off with just a little bit more of your background, Ed, because I find it so interesting that you come from a QSR background into retail and now you're in the fitness arena. Tell us a little
Yeah.
bit more about your path and your background, how you ended up at Planet Fitness.
Yeah, I mean, I've always wanted to be in marketing. Even as a kid, I got exposed to advertising when I was young. My brother-in-law worked for Bourelly advertising, so it was just amazing to me to see not only the creative process and seeing ads come to life, but also seeing African Americans creating these campaigns. With African Americans in the campaign. So I said, this is what I want to be. So that's how I started my career. But I've been in marketing over 25 years. So didn't start at 3, but I'm telling my age a little bit, but 25 years. And as you mentioned, started on the agency side. I really feel that, and I'll tell anybody who's looking to get into marketing, I really believe having agency experience makes you a better marketer. Not to say still not a great marketer if you don't, but started on the agency side, working in the QSR space, right? From McDonald's, Taco Bell, then moved over on the brand side. So I worked for Home Depot, and then I was in the fashion space for a while, fashion, sports, athletic, with Nike, with New Era, and with Levi's. And now I'm with Planet Fitness. Excited to be here, and that's how it all happened. That's my story.
I
I'm
love it.
sticking with it. So,
I do agree what you said about an agency background. I was actually just talking to a few of my colleagues after work yesterday about this. I didn't come from an agency background, but I can only imagine the breadth of experience you get working at an agency, working at multiple accounts, or just even working deep within one account. So
yeah.
there's definitely something to be said there about that background, and
Yeah, and it goes to brand partnership, right?
mhm.
So you work for a brand, but then also you have to understand, your agencies and your other vendor partners, are your partners. And the better you can understand that and understand how they work, and how the better you can be a better brand leader. So I just think it's extremely important that you have, that type of insights.
Agree. And Ed and I connected prior to this live webcast right here, and I think something that really resonated with me during our conversation is the component around accessibility
Yeah.
with Planet Fitness. Tell us a little bit more about your goals around accessibility and why that's important to you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for me, the biggest thing, I got to a period in my career where I didn't just want to sell things anymore. I really wanted to sell with a purpose, and health and wellness was really a big frontier for me. And the thing that excited me more than anything about Planet Fitness was it was truly a challenger brand. You know, it's disruptive to the fitness industry with a low value, a high value, low price proposition, right? So that's the first thing. So with our basic membership at $10 a month, you know, that makes it accessible to anybody from an income standpoint, at least to most people. And then the other part is the fact that Planet Fitness had as many doors as it did, and they were going into communities that typically our competitors don't go into per se, you know, in rural areas, in inner cities. And that to me was exciting. I mean, I grew up on the south side of Chicago, and there are a lot of gym chains that would never enter on the south side of Chicago. So so to me, that was very appealing and why I love this brand. And then the last piece is really around, and we talked about this too, is inclusivity, right? The fact that Planet Fitness prides itself on being a judgment-free zone and is really, you know, open the doors to everybody and try to make the environment as less intimidating as possible to me is phenomenal. And that's why I was really excited to start working with the brand.
Yeah, I love what you are doing over there. And I think it really resonates with me, particularly because, you know, working at Nextdoor, we're focused on building communities.
Yeah.
We're a hyper-local platform. But when you're thinking about fitness, and again, from a personal standpoint, I love going to a workout class. I love being in a workout environment with other people who have the same goals as me, or even if it's something that's new to me. It's just like being a part of a community is really
Yeah.
important as a part of your fitness goal journey as well. So,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah. I mean,
knowing. Mhm.
you know, it's even though Planet Fitness is a national brand and it's starting to become an international brand,
Mhm.
it really is a hyper local brand. And our marketing, we spend exponentially more on our local DMA driven and club level marketing because your gym is part of your community, right? So
Yeah,
we partner with, you know, the local schools. We partner with first responders. We sign sponsorship deals with, you know, 5K runs and you know, AAA teams that we know are important to communities. But we really are a community led and driven brand that's very hyper localized with its marketing efforts.
yes, yes. And then you were telling me about the summer pass program that you have going on at
Yeah.
Summer Fitness. Can you tell everyone else about it? Because I
Yeah,
think it's
it
really
was,
awesome.
you know, there was a big announcement around it yesterday. So, which, you know, talked about the results from the program. So when I started with Planet Fitness, we had something called the Summer Teen Challenge, right? It was the first time ever it had been implemented where essentially we opened our doors to teens to work in our gyms for free for the entire summer, right? So there's another type of pandemic going on with teens, and that is, you know, teens with obesity, teens feeling isolated, and then teens having accessibility to health and wellness. So I was ecstatic to see that our national team, our PR group, brought back the Summer Teen Challenge. It's now called the High School Summer Pass. So it came back this year and really went gangbusters. I mean, we had over 3.5 million teens that signed up to become members, and they registered over 17 million workouts for us. So just phenomenal success for us. And it's not just the teens that we were targeting and we want to be part of this program. We know health and wellness is really a family effort too, right? It's also the parents, you know, how can, you know, the parents make health and wellness really a family event and really a family initiative. So ecstatic that we brought that back.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I think, you know, it's being able to give teens access to the gym and helping create a very healthy habit at such a young age, I think has impact beyond just the summer pass.
Yeah.
And the summer is going to be something they take on with them. So really love
Yeah.
that program you guys are doing.
Yeah. I mean, when you think about it too, a lot of kids, their accessibility to fitness is tied so closely to their schools, right?
Mhm.
So when the schools are shut down during the summer, where are these kids going? And the fact that they're having most of them are having their first, gym experience from a private gym standpoint. And we're glad to that, they're able to experience that in our doors. I mean, a lot of these kids have never had a gym membership.
Mhm.
Right. And, the fact that, we can offer millions of dollars worth of equipment, trainers, staffing, everything to these kids, it's just phenomenal. So that goes
Absolutely.
back to accessibility.
Yeah, absolutely. And you touched a bit on this with the summer pass. It's just the feeling of isolation, and it kind of ties back to now we know mental health is a huge component for a lot of consumers, people out
Yeah.
there. How are you focusing on Planet Fitness and the messaging around fitness being more than just your body, but your mind and body too?
Yeah, you're hearing a lot in our branding messaging, and even our last campaign, the focus around wellness. People equate fitness to physical health, right? You working out, doing it, and and focus on your body more than anything. Wellness is really around, not just the physical, but how they're tied together. They're not siloed, right? So if anything, this pandemic became an acceleration point for us to really evolve our messaging around just wellness and how movement is medicine, and how being able to get out there, even interacting with other people in our gyms is very medicinal. And so you're seeing a lot more of that popping up in the messaging that our brand team is focused on.
I love that. I love it. Movement is medicine. I'm going to
Yes.
start using that.
Don't steal my
I won't steal. It'll be my new life mantra though.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, but you certainly did see that trend come up during the pandemic, and I think we also saw a lot of other things that impacted the fitness retail world when we're thinking about what the pandemic did in terms of how you engage with your members, what kind of offerings do you give them from
Yeah.
like a physical or a virtual standpoint. But we'd love to
Yeah.
hear more from you and all the changes and trends
You
you've
know,
seen.
One of the key things for me that I learned, coming from a retail background, is that this industry is retail. A lot of people don't
Yes.
think of the gym
Hmm.
industry as being part of the retail industry, but it really is. And on the retail side, previously, brands I worked for, it was really focused on omni-channel, being omnipresent, right? So that is something that this pandemic has accelerated, with consumers. They want access to fitness 24/7, and no matter where they are, or no matter what they're doing, they want to be able to access a fitness solutions. So if anything, the pandemic has accelerated Planet Fitness to being more of an omni-channel brand, for our members, where they can work out at home through our app, or they can go into our gym locations. So it's really been a big accelerator for that. And then also just our app has just exploded in terms of people that have adopted it and have utilized it as being really the gateway to membership for us and for content. So
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Accessibility comes back to different locations you're building across different
yeah.
neighborhoods, but
Yeah.
also accessibility. If you can't go into one of those locations, it's accessibility at home, being able to work
Yeah.
out when you can and being able to provide the resources for them to have a productive workout. So
Yeah.
I love
Absolutely.
that.
Mhm.
And then speaking of recent trends, what other trends do you think are here to stay in the fitness
Yeah.
industry?
I mean, I think, in this industry, definitely connected fitness. People are, I've got on my Apple Watch now, people are adopting connected fitness. They want to track their movement. They want to track their steps. So that's continuing to accelerate overall. Access to content to work out and guided workouts. That's been accelerated throughout this pandemic. And then the approach we're talking about, more of a holistic approach to fitness and wellness, has been accelerated during this pandemic. We all experienced some dark moments, right? And
Yes.
that feeling of isolation, throughout this pandemic, where we couldn't see our friends, we couldn't see our family, we couldn't hug people, I mean, so it really, if anything, it put a stress and a spotlight on the fact that we have to take care of ourselves mentally just as much as we have to take care of ourselves physically, and it is an ongoing process that we need to focus on, and it's completely holistic.
Yep, absolutely. I definitely know I felt that during the pandemic. It's like, do I actually miss the gym right now? And I did, I miss the act of going to the gym. I miss being in a place where everyone was kind of working out with me, even if we were kind of doing our own thing. So I think people are kind of coming back with a vengeance when it comes to, like you said, connected fitness, being able to do that within a community.
Yeah, exactly. I think the more time passes and the more we emerge from this pandemic, and hopefully we are emerging from this pandemic, people are going to be out there, hopefully working out and looking for fitness solutions more now than ever. Fitness and wellness solutions.
Absolutely. And then when you're thinking about maybe challenges that you had to overcome or still have to kind of work through, what are some of those challenges you're seeing in the fitness industry?
Yeah, I mean, for us, the number one barrier for us, with our consumers was intimidation, right? So people, especially people who have never had access to a gym or had a gym membership, it's very intimidating, right? To walk into this big building with all this equipment and people in there all look and sound like experts, right? When you first get there. I mean, I've worked out my entire life, and it's intimidating to walk into a new gym, and to be a part of that. So that was always the big barrier. But obviously then you layered on it fear, right, with this pandemic. So we're still in a pandemic, that's one. And so the fear is a big barrier that we have to really focus on, and let people know we're doing everything possible to create a safe environment and safe, clean environment for them to work out. That's one. And that fitness and wellness is part of the solution to pandemics, right? Those are the messages that I think are going to be key for us to focus on moving forward.
Yep, I agree. And I think you're thinking about the challenges from the pandemic, which are kind of lingering or is lingering, and then some of the macroeconomic environment that we're in right now too. There's a lot of those challenges as well. Have you seen that impact your marketing strategy at all, or how have you adapt?
Not really from a macroeconomic standpoint. I mean, this brand has been around and actually thrives during recessions and downturns in the economy because of our value proposition. The fact that it's, our basic membership is $10 per month, right? And so if anything, we'll see people even trade down, during recessions, from some of these higher price gyms to our locations. So, our price point is incredible, especially, when you think about inflation and everything's been going up in price, but we haven't gone up in price of our $10 membership, so I think it's a value proposition that's hard to beat, and I wouldn't say it's recession proof, but the brand has a history of doing well during recessions.
Yeah, I can imagine that with the affordability of being a Planet Fitness member.
Yeah.
And then it sounds like you guys are working on a bunch of exciting things. Can you tell us some things you're working on for 2023 to look out for Planet Fitness?
Well, going back to the mental part,
Yeah.
one thing that just launched recently, it's not in all of our clubs, are these wellness pods. They're actual pods that you can sit in. It gives you time to really meditate, and it's supposed to really give you time to slow down and to take care of yourself mentally. So I'm excited to see those continue to roll out. I mean, they're in some of our locations already. So, and that's going back to our holistic approach. So that's phenomenal for us right now. Something in the future, but other than that, I mean, that's the only thing I could really share.
Are there other exciting things that we can that are a little bit?
I mean, it's for us, it's our growth is exciting for me too. The fact that we're continuing once again to open new gyms and to go into locations where people don't have access to gyms. So that's the part that I'm really ecstatic about. And then we have some great partnerships on the horizon. I can't talk about that, but I'm ecstatic for that too. So
that's awesome. Sounds like you have a lot of great things going on. And I love hearing about the breathing pods or the meditation pods.
Yeah, the wellness pods. Yeah.
Yes.
So
yes.
they're I've experienced it. I've gone to it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's give you time to meditate and to kind of slow things down. So the fact that we're integrating that into our gym proposition, some locations, is pretty exciting.
Certainly. I think it's one thing to say, mental health is just as important as physical health. But when you start putting those pods into those gyms, it's really saying, here's a space for you to go in there and really focus on just that mental health while we're focused on overall just wellness at Planet Fitness.
Yeah.
So I absolutely think that's a great idea. And I can't wait to go into one of those wellness pods myself. And then, with over 2,300 locations across the US, you really are a hyper-local brand. We've talked about it before. You've touched a little bit on your marketing strategy, but can you share a little bit more about how you stay a local brand, even though you do have a lot of locations?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that 90% of the gyms are franchise, and we have a very strong franchise community. And a lot of these franchisees live in the communities that they serve is phenomenal. And then, like I mentioned earlier, we spend exponentially more resources on marketing at the DMA level, and then down to the club level. So our agency partners are huge, in terms of implementing that. And so we're really a hyper local brand, even though, like you said, they're close to over 2,400 locations, and we have these huge national campaigns and our national efforts. A lot of work and exponentially more is spent, focusing on really within the 5 to 8 mile radius of a club, and then at the city DMA level. So I think brands that are doing that and doing that really well is going to give them a huge advantage over brands that are focusing just on national efforts. So the QSR industry has done it for a long time. They do it really well. But there are other brands that you'll be surprised that do it. Nike, for instance, my position with Nike was focusing on retail marketing for the middle 20 states, and it eventually became Canada. So, Nike really had a GeoCity strategy that focused on key cities that they knew they had to win in order to win globally. And within those cities, they had strong teams, great resources to really, activate on a hyper local level. So I'm based here in Chicago. The central team for Nike in North America really took over the city. and was involved anywhere with high schools to professional teams to local retailers. So you don't think of a brand like Nike, you don't think of a brand like some of these other large international brands as being extremely hyper local, but that's the one frontier that when they activate that brand and they do it in the right way, in a smart way, they become unstoppable. So little plug for Nextdoor.
Exactly. I don't even have anything to follow. You just kind of said our value prop.
And partners like Nextdoor.
Yeah, there you go. Thanks, Ed. I appreciate that. But really, I couldn't agree more. And I think it's wonderful that half of your franchisees actually live in the communities where they serve.
Yeah.
So I think a big part of it is just like when you're walking around your neighborhood and you go to your local grocery store or you go to your local gym, you start to connect with people who work there, people who go there. That becomes its own community as well. So when you have someone who actually lives in the community and is serving for the community through the franchisee, then it's great because they're a part of your neighborhood almost.
Absolutely. So it's that also allows you to be extremely close to the consumer, right? And I always tell people, our number one resource is not, what we're looking at on our screen. Our number one resource for market intel and what's going on with our consumer are our associates and our gym staff members that interact with people every day. And I have that type of mindset on the retail side also. They know the consumer better than anybody. They know the consumer better than us sitting here at a desk and working on a computer. So in terms of a resource, in order to be hyper local, one of our biggest resources is our team members that are out there with our members every day.
I love hearing that. I think too, like people first, people who are on the floors connecting with your consumers, connecting with Planet Fitness members, they're going to be the one who's helping create that human connection, which I think is far more impactful than any marketing campaign we can run as marketers say it.
Absolutely. And they have a pulse on what's happening with the competitors, right? So, this industry is very regionalized, right? So that you don't have big, huge national brands. It's not McDonald's versus Burger King versus Wendy's versus Taco Bell. It's very regionalized. You have competitors that you never heard of before that can be very strong in one market, right, that are non-existent in another. So our gym associates know these competitors really well. They know some of the tactics they're doing and leveraging to gain membership. So not just from a member marketplace understanding, but from a competitive standpoint too, they have a pulse on the competition more than anybody else.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they're hearing real-time feedback. They're kind of the front lines of everything. And that really helps trickle up everything to the team who can make those changes. And I think back to that local marketing piece, and I agree, and I'm not just saying this because I work at Nextdoor, but I think, localized messaging, personalized messaging that really connects to you, resonate to the information that you're going to find most useful, I think drives performance and drives kind of the messaging and brand affinity further more than any kind of national strategy. So
and then the other thing is you have to have a bubble up culture too, right? McDonald's did this extremely well. A lot of the initiatives that became national initiatives, and same thing with Planet Fitness, a lot of the amenities and things that were adopted nationally started on the local level and had huge success. And brands have to take that into account and say, can we take this, adopt it, adapt it, and scale it, so it can be part of our brand's DNA nationally. So, that's another huge advantage to thinking, globally, but acting and understanding hyper-localization.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I think if you can win in your community, if you can connect with the people in your community, that goes a long way when you're thinking about more of your national messaging. But even though you're hyper local brand, is your messaging at the local level any different than the national level? Is there any kind of umbrella
Yeah, I mean,
mission that you want to get out to market?
they're brand guidelines that
Yeah.
everybody has to follow, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my job isn't doing the creative.
Yeah.
My job is taking the creative and how do
Sure.
we optimize our media channels and optimize our consumer experiences, utilizing the creative. So it's very important to have strong brand guidelines. That's one. And then
Mm-hmm.
two, for people to adhere to them. That's always going to be a battle in any commingled structure with franchisees. But it's very important that we follow our brand guidelines and that we have truly one voice when we're in the marketplace, no matter where we are. Now, there's certain nuances you can, that you have flexibility with, but your core messaging should always remain the same. It always should remain the same. You have to have continuity with that. That's a person that walks into a Planet Fitness in Maine should have the same experience and understand what the brand's about, just as a person that walks into a Planet Fitness in Chicago. So, it's very important for brands to focus on that.
Yeah.
In any space, health and wellness, retail, you name it, any space.
Right. And I think when you're thinking about brand messaging too, right? Like if there is a North Star where like your mission is to provide accessibility, inclusivity to all your members, like you would walk into any Planet Fitness and feel the ability to have access to any locations, the ability to feel like part of the community, despite which location you're walking into, if that's your goal. It sounds like you guys are doing a really, really great job at that. So I'm excited for you all.
I hope so. It's a forever changing marketplace. And the key for us is to stay ahead of the marketplace and to be very nimble as much as possible. So during this pandemic, 25% of the gym industry disappeared permanently, right? And the fact that Planet Fitness didn't close a single gym. We're doing something right, and we're opening new ones very fast. We're doing something right. So hopefully we'll continue that trajectory.
Yeah, absolutely. And congratulations on all the new locations you guys are working on opening.
Thanks.
And then on more of a personal side, since we've been talking about fitness this whole time, curious, what's your favorite fitness routine, or what do you love doing when you go
sitting on the
get
couch
a workout
watching football?
Yeah, exactly.
It's evolved with my age. I have to say, I was really into. I was an athlete in high school and college. I was all about lifting and getting big and cut. As the older I've gotten, I really like focusing on cardio, focusing on low impact exercise, and so things like that. Hitting the treadmill, hitting the bikes, lightweight workout. And then, for me, meditation is very important. It goes back to the mental aspect. I meditate with my kids, very often, and I try to meditate every night. And I've just reaped the benefits of that, and during this pandemic, I've adopted that as part of my daily routine. And then just getting outside. That's the beauty about working remotely, which a lot of us are now. I can just, if I want to take a walk, or if I want to take a call, as I'm walking and getting some sun and getting some air, that's part of the journey. That should be part of your routine. It doesn't have to be in a gym necessarily, or doing a workout per se. Like I said, movement is medicine. Just getting outside and doing things with my kids. Sometimes I'm more sore after that than doing a workout. So activating muscles, I haven't activated in a long time, but Those are the things I enjoy doing.
Absolutely. And I think we talked a little bit about this. It's like now that we are in this hybrid work model, people can just step outside during a meeting if they can, or go to the gym in the middle of the morning, which they could before when we're all more of an in-office environment. So I think that has really impacted the fitness industry as well. It's just when people access gym and how they're using it versus maybe what trends you were seeing prior when we were all going into the office. But thank you for sharing your fitness routine. I'm inspired. I'm more of a
not that
Pilates
inspirational.
Yeah, I feel like I need to mix it up, and I'm just going to do Pilates. But I feel like after talking to you, I got to add in my cardio, low impact, weightlifting, all that fun stuff.
And I want to go back in my wellness pod, to tell you the truth.
Yes.
It's not a hyperbaric chamber. Let's be clear on that. But yeah.
Well, I really want to thank you both. That was again a terrific conversation. I feel healthier and mentally wealthier just having listened to you both. And so a big shout out to Ed Bourelly and Tony Lee of Planet Fitness and Nextdoor, respectively. And that's really it. That's the end of our day. It was fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you,
I will
Tory.
Thank you,
see you on
Ed.
the course.